that, or?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
McCarthy, then Cologne. We'll go from there. Good day to do it.
Why McCarthy?
I thought it was a natural based on what he accomplished last year. And with some of the pitchers that we ended up trading away, we had a good feeling that would be the case. So, there you have it. And then the experience of Cologne, and then we have some competition for the other spots.
I'm guessing that too, you were saying McCarthy just seems mid-season form. That contributes to a decision like this, and his focus this spring?
Well, yeah, I think part of the fact that he's probably a bit ahead is he knows he has to get ready a little bit earlier. So he's, I don't want to say sped up, but he's very aware of the timing of when he'll pitch. Therefore, it appears that he's probably a little ahead of guys. He's probably thrown a few more pitches at this point in time in his pens. First time he threw to hitters, he threw two segments of it, so it's we've been on that pace, on that program since we got here.
He's a guy who's had a lot of tough injury breaks over his career. Just what can you say about what he's done to put himself in this kind of position to get that kind of reward?
Credit to him. I mean, he's transformed himself in a number of ways, and I think sometimes you learn quite a bit about yourself physically too when you go through those injuries. You're very aware of when your body is pushing a little bit and whatever, and he's a smart guy. He understands all ends of it and knows himself very well.
It seems like he's a guy that potentially is a good role model for the many young starters that you have too, because he's always made strikes and he's a smart pitcher. Is that sort of another reason to sort of reward him with a high-profile spot like this?
Definitely, yeah. And he's one of those focused guys that you see that are a lot of times are those guys that lead your staff. I was around a Kurt Schilling in Arizona, and you have comparables and stuff, but certainly the way they prepare, it's very comparable. Kurt started the day after he pitched, looking at lineups and so forth of the other clubs, looking at video of the other clubs, and had a game plan starting the next day. And Brandon's the same way. And if they're both guys that on the day that they pitch, leave them alone, let them do their thing, because they're very routine oriented and focused on that particular day. But it doesn't start on that day. It starts in the preparation, in knowing what you do and understanding what the other club's going to try to do to you.
Brandon was sharing with me that it helps, being that he's such a routine guy, that Kurt Suzuki is also such a routine guy. Being that you're stressing that relationship between the pitcher-catcher, how is that just another, added weapon, I guess, on the side advantage, that they're both determined like that?
Yeah, and with the younger catchers and younger pitchers we have here, you really don't even need to say anything about it. You just that they watch. I mean, the guys here know who are the guys that we're leaning on at the top of the rotation, and I don't think McCarthy's a guy that's going to go out of his way to get a group together and talk about the way he prepares, but all you have to do is watch him, and if you ask questions, certainly he'll have something to say. But it's easy to watch those guys and understand it, and like you said, Kurt's that extension. He's on the same program with his preparation, and when you get your core guys, your key guys that work along those lines, it's easy to get everybody else to follow suit.
Oh, he set a franchise record dating back to 1901 last year for strikeout walk ratio. I think that went a little bit under the radar, but what does something like that mean to you specifically when it's something like strikeouts to walks?
The less guys you put on base, fewer guys you put on base, less opportunity they have to score. So he's very aware of that. We at times probably needs to throw the ball out of the strike zone just to change the eye level or whatever, and then that's another part of his game that he's working on. Is he's so precise on where he's throwing it, and he's so focused on it, sometimes he doesn't even think about changing eye level or throwing a ball just for an effect. But that's fantastic numbers that he put together, and based on the fact that everybody reads everything these days, they're very aware of it too, and you look at that and then couple that with the success he had, I think there's a good understanding of why he's done what he's done in our camp.
What stood out to you watching Bartolo so far this past week?
He's a very calm guy, a calm thinker, and goes about his business, knows his routine based on what he's done, over the course of his career. But when he gets on the mound, all of a sudden it changes a little bit. I mean, his mechanics, to me, really stand out. I mean, he does the same thing every time, repeats his delivery same time, same arm angle, same, routine that he does when he gets on the mound too. And for a guy who's a little bit older than some of the other guys here, he does his routine a little bit differently. But once he gets on the mound, it's a lot the same. Knows what works for him, doesn't try to do too much as far as add pitches. And, when you're experienced like he is, he reads hitters really well and can read swings. So, he's probably not the most talkative guy in the world, but another guy you can learn some things from just watching how he goes about his business.
Have you checked in on Peacock?
Yeah, nothing was said to me today, so at the end of the day, we'll fit him in a slot, probably throw him to hitters one more time before we get him in a game. We could be a little bit late today based on the blood and all that going on over there.
So, Bob, I know you addressed this yesterday with Sizemore, but where do you go from here? I mean, what's the next step for you guys?
Well, we have options. One of them is we're going to look at Josh Donaldson at third extensively. He's not going to catch here, and now even more so can put the gear away and concentrate on third. And then, Rosales, Sogard, and Timmons. We'll look at all those guys, and we feel like each one of those guys has something to add to the mix. We will have to have utility guys too, and Sogard and Rosales are so good at doing that. That's kind of a tough niche to be able to do, and I think Sogi really learned that last year, how to do that. But those guys are options as well, and obviously Timmons. Timmons, you look at his numbers and you kind of puzzled why he hasn't really gotten a shot at the big league level. So those guys will get a lot of reps in games, a lot.
What are your thoughts when you look at a guy like Timmons? Because 33 and sort of lifelong minor leaguer, hasn't made it to the big leagues, still hanging on, looking for a shot. Kind of have a soft spot for guys like that?
I do, and he's at big league camp again. I think he's come and gone as far as big league camp goes, but his numbers remain pretty consistent. And I think, in his case, you look at the situation now and maybe say, look, this is really an opportunity for me. At times, maybe the numbers are stacked against you, and maybe your goals aren't really potentially big leagues that year. But I think, if he looks at where we are right now, how many infielders we have in camp and so forth, and with Scotty going down, I'm sure he's probably encouraged that this is probably the best chance that he's had to get some big league time, whether it's at the beginning or some point in time during the year.
So you guys have an inter-squad this week, right? Thursday? An inter-squad game?
The first, whatever that
first.
is.
Okay.
What is today?
Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday. I don't know anymore.
Do you have can you share the pitching?
Yeah, I can when we go back.
Okay.
Can we go back?
Okay.
You got it? Gray and Castro will start, and then there's Blevins, and I got a lot of names. There you go. Doolittle's pitching, right? Cook, correct? 8 guys will be 4-inning game. Thank you. Okay.
Allergies better today?
Not really.